Today on our show, you know what night it is. It is ladies' night, and the feeling's right. Oh, yes, it's ladies' night.
Oh, what a
night. Yeah, that's right, man. We're talking hashtag feminism. We got all the geek news in store for you and yours, and every bit of it, including a couple of reviews, has to do with hashtag feminism. It's ladies' night for you guys here on the Nerdynomicon. Welcome to the Nerdynomicon. I'm Robbie.
And I'm Adrian.
And I realize it's ironic that we have no ladies on the episode for celebrating Ladies' Night, but it's not like it's like Women's Month or Women's Week or anything like that. There's a lot of fucking awesome news going on, and most of it has to do with women. Adrian saw an awesome movie starring a woman, and we just decided to have a woman empowering episode this week.
It just made sense. I mean, between the movie and the show / documentary and then all this crazy news that was coming out. Well, I don't know if it's all the crazy news, but, we're getting some big news about
we got
ladies.
Some big news here.
It felt right.
Couldn't agree more, man. So, I guess we'll start out the way you like to. How was your week, buddy?
It was pretty good. I feel like there's no topping Backflip Week and back-to-back blockbuster movie with solid snaking in between. I don't think that can be topped, at least not in the immediate future. So I'm going to give my week a 3 out of 5, whereas the previous was a 5 out of 5.
Okay, fair enough. My week, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
So let's start. Talk about it.
All right. Well, let's get started with a little bit of news, then we'll jump on to, because some of the things that made everything so awesome has to do with females. The first bit of news that I've got here, my friends, my colleagues, we have a new doctor announced, the 13th Doctor, which is actually the 14th Doctor because nobody ever factors in the War Doctor, which is the original Doctor. So 13 television canonically, 14 in reality. I'm throwing a lot of numbers in this. Basically, I'm trying to say that Doctor Who is now a woman, played by Jodie Whittaker. And the internet is looking for reasons to bitch, but you can't find any, can you, trolls? You can't find any because Jodie Whittaker's fucking awesome. She's been in a lot of awesome things. Specifically, for me, I loved the episode she was on of Black Mirrors. Absolutely amazing actress, and it just makes sense, seeing as though the Master turned into Missy in the last couple of seasons, so we've had a female Master, so we know for a fact that Gallifreyans, aka Time Lords, can switch genders. As a matter of fact, that one commander switched over to a female after he regenerated very recently. I think it was at the finale of last season, the season with the end of the Me storyline. And luckily, the ending of the Clara storyline. So that was definitely cool. So we've seen it happen before. And now the Doctor is in. The Doctor is a woman. And I cannot tell you how thrilled I am. The only other thing I would have smiled as largely about is if it turned out he was a ginger. Because there's a running joke in there how the Doctors always wanted to be ginger. So I'm overjoyed. Adrian, I know you don't watch Doctor Who, which is a tragedy, absolute tragedy, but you've got to be happy about this.
I don't have any problem with it. I guess my big question is, should we be reading into the fact that the 13th Doctor is a lady one? Because, I mean, that's shitty. That's a shitty thing to do.
As I said, technically speaking, it's the 14th one, because nobody ever counts the War Doctor.
Well, if nobody ever counts the War Doctor, does the War Doctor count?
I definitely think the War Doctor counts. They started with numbering his regenerations. So they never counted the original Doctor. After he regenerated the first time, that's what they called Doctor 1. When in reality, that should have been Doctor number 2. But the War Doctor has only really been a part of our perceived canon for the last couple of years. That's when he was first seen, was back in the Matt Smith episodes. So, as far as the television counting goes, she's 13, but in reality, she's actually the 14th.
I don't know. I feel like you're trying to do some fancy footwork to get around this.
I don't think that it's fancy footwork whatsoever. It's basically the 14th Doctor. The War Doctor is never given a number. So, if you use that logic, then I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I guess I understand what you mean, 13 being an unlucky number. Oh, hey, it's the woman. It's the unlucky number. But I choose not to shit all over that. Come on, man. She's number 14. She's a good number. 14 is a good number. It's a multiple. Yeah. Of 7.
Is that really your argument? 14 is a good number because it's a multiple?
Yes. Of 7.
There's so
Which
many.
is my favorite number.
Why?
I don't know.
I feel like you're making this up. Did you just make that up to have something, or 7 actually your favorite number?
No, 7's actually my favorite number. I don't know why. 7 sins, 7 doors, 7 little chipmunks twirling on a branch, eating lots of sunflowers on my uncle's ranch. That old children's song from the sea. 7-minute abs. It's...
I'm thinking it's because you like badass numbers, and 7, 8, 9.
Fucking A right, dude. After I just spent like 30 seconds quoting something about Mary. Yeah, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, you just summed it all up there. So, the new Doctor's a woman, played by Jodie Whittaker. And it's awesome. Anything else you want to shit all over about this?
Well, let me tell you, the number 7 sucks.
Oh,
no, I'm just kidding.
God. More news. We just got our first still from Ready Player One. And it is... It looks good, but it makes me nervous about the movie. Ready Player One was a novel written by Ernest Cline. It has been a fan favorite and, frankly, a geek favorite for quite a few years now. I've read this book 3 times. I absolutely love it. It is a love letter to the 80s and early 90s. It's chock full of references. It's chock full of Monty Python and Back to the Future, Kevin Smith, Quentin Tarantino. It's just a love letter to our childhood as well, because it talks about old video games, Gygax, the thing with the stuff and the Joust. That's what it is. Joust. Joust plays a factor in there. Dungeons and Dragons plays a factor in there. Captain Crunch plays a factor in there. Amazing book. And it is getting a film adaptation being directed by Steven Spielberg. Now, I've been so pumped for this and so hyped for this, and now some still shots are coming out. The casting news has been announced, and for the most part, I'm looking at it and I'm happy. I'm very, very happy about this. T.J. Miller is playing IROC. I don't have a negative thing to say about that. Simon Pegg is playing Ogden Morrow. Not one single negative thing to say about that. Here's my issue. It's with the casting of Wade Owen Watts, a.k.a. Percival, and Artemis. See, Ty Sheridan is playing Percival, and a young lady named Olivia Cook is playing Artemis. Now, you may be wondering, why the hell do you have a problem with that? Why are you shitting all over everything? Come on, those are both good actors. I agree, but here's my problem. Olivia Cook is a tiny girl. She's a very, very small girl. You may know her from Bates Motel. She played the sickly one with the oxygen thing. She's been in Ouija. She's been in The Signal. Here's my problem. Artemis is supposed to be a full-figured woman. She's supposed to look like a woman. And Percival, a.k.a. Wade, is supposed to be, when the movie begins, a chubby little fat boy. I'm supposed to be sitting in there for like the first half of the movie just celebrating and bawling my eyes out going, my brethren's on television as the main character. It's my people and he's awesome. I'm supposed to be sitting there crying big fat tears, basting my cheeks with tears of gravy. But both of these motherfuckers are tiny. I realize it's something weird to get upset about, but when characters are written a certain way, especially in a story as badass as Ready Player One, I kind of have an issue with the way Hollywood portrays people. Do you know what I mean? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's kind of like if you're supposed to be like a super nerd that, can't really get the time of day from ladies and, you just happen to get bit by a spider, you probably shouldn't be skateboarding around looking like a Calvin Klein model, with your hair moosed up.
Andrew Garfield. That's a decent point. And ultimately, that kind of goes with what I'm talking about, but it goes more than just the aesthetic look of how somebody decides to dress and how much mousse they decide to put in their hair. Because it does look like Andrew Garfield could just ram his head right through anybody because he's just going to poke right through. It has to do with the fact that it just does nothing, in my opinion, but perpetuate negative stereotypes as to how people are supposed to look. The average woman's size in America is not a size 2. And I do realize that we have an obesity problem in this country. But at the same time, there's still something to be said about an unhealthy, unnatural body type. People starving themselves because that's how they think they're supposed to look. And the reason that I like Artemis so much in this book is because she even, after events transpire, I really don't want to ruin this story. That's why I'm not even really telling anything about the plot here. But Artemis is very, very popular in the online world in the Oasis. And she even starts selling her own clothing line for people's avatars on there. I hope I'm teasing you guys with the whole, wait, what the hell are you talking about? Dude, read the book and wait for the movie with bated breath like the rest of us. So she sells her own clothing line in the Oasis, and it's specifically modeled to approach the demographic of full-figured women. It's specifically tailored that way, and it's actually a plot point in the book. And it's part of why Wade is attracted to her. So to have her being portrayed by a tiny girl, who, by the way, is a spectacular actress, I just feel like it could have gone to somebody with a much more realistic, much more healthy body type, if that makes any sense.
It makes sense, but, I mean, there's two sides.
I realize it's Hollywood. I realize that, we've got to get everybody slimmed right down, eat a goddamn salad. No, don't eat the salad. There's calories even in that. Here, eat this rice cake. No, half the rice cake. What are you fat? Come on, put it down. Drink that water.
Now puke it
Not
back
the
up.
water with the electrolytes.
I see what you're saying. I feel like there's two sides to it, though. I mean, there's always going to be things that we disagree with, especially properties that we're really invested in. Like, I thoroughly disagreed with Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker and Spider-Man.
Fair.
It depends on if it actually affects the story or if it doesn't. Because, I mean, you can make the argument that casting someone like Idris Elba to play the gunslinger in Dark Tower affects the story, because Roland in those books is supposed to basically be Clint Eastwood, super white, like strong jawline. He's supposed to have piercing blue eyes, but does casting him as a strong black man really change the story? And I think in that case, not so much. But Hollywood's always going to take liberties with stuff. So,
which is true, yes. And I see what you're saying as far as at least the perception. Yes, the imagery as well, because Stephen King wrote him as a white dude, Clint Eastwood looking, yes. But the color of his skin never actually played a factor in the story. The body sizes of both of these characters do play a factor in the story, at least the novelization of this story. That, to me, is where the difference comes into play. It doesn't matter that Idris Elba is black playing the gunslinger, because the skin color of Roland never mattered in the story. Now, if it was a woman playing the gunslinger, it does actually kind of change it quite a bit, just because of some of the misadventures that Roland goes off on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But
so
doesn't mean that it
would
couldn't
be
be
slightly
done.
different. No, it doesn't mean it couldn't be done. In that case, it would be a reimagining. But we haven't even had the first iteration of the novel, of the cinematic version yet. I'm not saying that something like that could not be done. As a matter of fact, if this movie's popular enough, it might give rise to a whole new plethora of movies where we might see more of that. I mean, hell, we're already starting to see a female John Wick with Atomic Blonde coming out later on this month, which, by the way, looks fucking awesome. And I heard that there's even talk about, if it's popular, they're going to cross over the two movies and make it a whole, like, John Wick, Atomic Blonde universe. It's got to be awesome. But my point is, if it's central to the story, and if it actually plays a factor in the story, I think it should be kept. Yes, there's always going to be liberties with the plot, but I'm a big fan of characters. You know, yes, I love the story, but most of the time I love the story because I become invested in the characters. This changes kind of significant things about both of these characters. Are they going to do a good job? I have no doubt in my mind. Am I going to see it? Absolutely. Am I concerned and questioning why I'm question answering myself? Yes, I am. But it just kind of bugged me a little bit.
I can get that. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens with the movie, if they do it justice or not. You know.
Right. That's pretty much all you can really say about it. I'm happy with the aesthetic of it. By all accounts, this movie is just chugging right along. It looks like it's going to be incredible, but everything else, I mean, dude, fucking Simon Pegg is in this movie. I am so in. So in. This is definitely going to be a major blockbuster.
Yeah, I mean, what time is this coming out? When is this coming out?
It's slated for early release in 2018.
Oh.
So it might even technically fall in the holiday era. I'm pretty sure they don't want to try to push it back around Christmas time, because then they're going to be fighting with Star Wars. But maybe if they try to go in the Kingsman Deadpool slot, you know, right around Valentine's Day, I think that would be a really smart move as far as release.
Would it, though? 'Cause I would go see Deadpool or Kingsman before this, probably, hands down.
Well, Kingsman and Deadpool aren't going to be in the theaters at that point. I'm just saying that they made that time slot very coveted. Not time slot, but that
release date.
That
Gotcha.
release date very coveted. Yeah, I'm not saying, you know, compete with them.
I thought that's
that would
what you
be
were saying.
that would, no. I'm not saying compete with them. That would be stupid. Don't do that, Steven Spielberg. You're smarter than that. You're better than that. I'm saying that those two movies specifically have turned Valentine's Day into a very, very coveted release time. So that's when I would drop this movie. I think that they would make all the money dollars at that point. This one does not have to do with a woman, but it is definitely important, and I really think that we need to talk about it. I'm trying to work out a time when I can have Ben Grisanti on, because both of us have been talking a little bit, and we really want to do a tribute to this man. We did have a pretty dark cloud over this weekend, and that dark cloud is, unfortunately, we lost another amazing director. We've lost Wes Craven about, almost 2 years ago, and we've lost another iconic director in horror, and a pioneer, if you will, a man who gave us the zombie as we know it today, the zombie as we love, hate, and mock today with George Romero. This guy was a visionary. He created the original Night of the Living Dead. He created so many others. Day of the Dead. Didn't really work on Return of the Living Dead. I almost had a misstep there. But, I mean, Diary of the Dead, Day of the Dead. He turned these zombie movies into a Black Mirror reflection of ourselves. As a matter of fact, he got a little bit heavy-handed with some of his dialogue at the end of the movies. You know, we're them and they're us. But these movies were terrifying. Not just in their time, but even now, watching them. I mean, especially Night of the Living Dead, the old black and white version, for me, is still scary to me to this day. These just slow-moving, shambling zombies, and they just cause the global apocalypse. Without George Romero, we don't get to The Walking Dead. We don't get to The Governor. We don't get to fucking Negan. We don't get to these people without George Romero. And unfortunately, he has passed, dead at 77. So, George Romero, we salute you. We crave brains in your honor. Adrian, do you have anything you want to say?
No, as I was telling you before, I don't have anything against the guy, and I know he was iconic. I just didn't follow all of his movies that well. So I feel like an ass trying to say, like, oh, say anything. Because, I mean, I know you're the film guy. You're the director and everything. So I feel like anything that could be said, you'd say it better and more eloquently. So
Well, I appreciate that. I wasn't looking for that. I think it's important to send George Romero off with a proper send off, and that's why I've been talking with Ben Grisanti. We had him on a while back talking about Polybius Dreams, which, by the way, if we haven't mentioned, got completely funded. He's almost done with the first issue, bitches. So if you backed him on Kickstarter, don't worry. Your shit's gonna be getting to you real soon. But I'm sure he's gonna have plenty of updates with that as well. But he, I know, was a huge fan of George Romero. And we're working out a time, hopefully within the next week or so, that he can come on and we can give him a proper send-off and do a nice tribute to George Romero. I wish Nerdynomicon itself was in existence back when we had Wes Craven, because I would have loved to give him the same shout-out. You know what? Maybe we should do that this coming October. A love letter to Wes Craven.
belated shout-outs.
Fucking A right, man. Celebrate his life.
And then his death.
Yes.
Not celebrate it, but
Well, not celebrate it, but memorialize it. Because he also died in a very strange way. He died in his sleep, and this is also the creator of Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street. So you gotta wonder what happened.
Autoerotic asphyxiation.
Point goes to Adrian. Okay.
I mean,
Fair enough.
if you gotta go,
There are far worse ways to go.
yeah.
Let's see, what else do I got? Game of Thrones is back. Now, I'm going to be speaking about this in code because Adrian, who, wow, you're a wet blanket so far in this episode. You're going to be coming back hard with the review section. You should just have nothing to say in the news section.
I told you, this is all stuff that I don't have a frame of reference for the source material. And it's like, oh, let's talk about Game of Thrones. It's like, okay, have fun talking about Game of Thrones, I guess.
You haven't watched Game of Thrones, but you to this day, we just started season 7, and you're still avoiding spoilers like the plague.
I mean, I'm not going out of my way to avoid them, but I'm also not going out of my way to see them, which is surprisingly effective, as long as you don't have douche friends, I guess.
I'm going to try my hardest not to be a douche friend here. If I could get away without spoiling anything to do with that one episode in season 3, I think I can talk about what I want to talk about here without spoiling too much for you as well. But my first question is, are you eventually going to watch this show?
I feel like eventually, yes. Otherwise, what would be the point in waiting so long, right? Like, what
Completely agreed.
What would be the point in making sure you don't hear about it? And so, I'm not against it, but keep in mind, I was always a late adopter for these like crazed shows and movies and books. Like, I think I started reading Harry Potter around the time that the 6th book was released. I was like, okay, the hype's kind of died down, or it might have always, the whole series might have been out by the time I started reading it. It's just like, I don't want to have too much in common with people that I don't like, and when something's super popular, it's more likely that there's going to be people I don't like that want to talk to me about it if I know about it. I know that's such a horrible, shitty way to go through life, but it's the way I do it. And so, I mean, I think my biggest thing with Game of Thrones is, like, I feel like the same people that shit on all the D&D kids, not that I was a D&D kid, and not that there's anything wrong with being a D&D kid, but I feel like all those same people that would shit on the D&D kids and make fun of them are watching Game of Thrones, which is essentially D&D on television for the most part. You know what I mean?
There is some truth to that, yeah, but I mean, the world has also changed. There was a day when I got my ass kicked for having my comic books at school because I wanted to read comics during recess when I was a kid. Now we're living in a world where Robert Downey Jr. is playing Iron Man and raking in $1 billion fucking dollars for Disney. Where Game of Thrones, like you said, a show that is essentially like D&D on fucking meth, is one of the most popular shows of all time. You know, this is the world we're living in now. Those days, at least for the time being, they're gone. You know, comic books are now seen as a form of literature, not just a form of entertainment, not just something for kids. They're seen as high literature in certain circles. People are studying the graphic novel Watchmen. You know, people are watching The Walking Dead obsessively. People are reading the graphic novels of The Walking Dead, not even clicking with them, hey, I'm reading comic books. The same shit I used to beat that one kid up back in the day for reading. You know, the days have changed. So as much as I agree with what you're saying, those days are gone.
But are they, though?
They are. They really are.
You see, that's what they want you to think. And then as soon as you let your guard down, bam, that's when they fucking get you. That's what always happened. I have nightmares from school, okay? So
how many swirlies did you get?
I didn't get any swirlies. I just got, like, people just pissed me off. And it
no, I can
continues
understand
to this
that.
day.
And you're over there. Yeah, now my fucking co-host is over here saying that those days are gone. The war's over. The war's over, Adrian. And now he's pissing me off. Now I'm not even going to listen to the show that I'm actually on. I'm sorry, Adrian. I didn't mean to give you Vietnam flashbacks.
Nah, you punk kids. You don't even know what war's like.
And Adrian just turned into the get off my lawn version of himself.
I'm always the get off my lawn version of myself. I don't think you understand that.
Apparently not. I've been trying to bring out your childlike whimsy. I've been doing a good job of it, though.
Yeah, well, bringing up high school is a shitty way to do it.
I didn't bring up high school. I brought up Game of Thrones.
Which is basically watched by a bunch of douchebags who hated D&D in high school. That's what I'm saying.
Well, the douchebags watch it as well, but in certain circles, sure, people call me a douchebag. But, Adrian, do you consider me a douchebag?
No.
I love how you're about to say butts.
I'm not about to say but. I'm just saying...
You were about to say butts.
I said no, kind of non-committal. That's...
Mm-hmm. And not only did I watch Game of Thrones last night, I was wearing my Stark hat and my Targaryen t-shirt. If there was a Game of Thrones foam finger that I had readily available, I would have been wearing that as well.
Did you drink anything out of those Game of Thrones mugs I sent you?
Dude, I had liquor in 2 of them.
What was in the third?
You don't want to know what was in the third.
AKA, I can't think of what was in the third.
No, Doritos, actually. Doritos. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about Game of Thrones, but I'm going to do it in code so that Adrian does not get spoilers. So,
can I still interject questions about what happens?
Yes, you can interject questions.
Okay.
And I'll see what I can do to not spoil anything. I want to talk about the cold open. Okay. Which was one of the most badass things that I've seen in so long. So basically, probably as badass as the penultimate episode last season with the 2 guys with the one angry crazy dude and the one super sad dude and the big battle.
So what you're saying from this cold open is that winter had arrived, is what I'm hearing from you.
Actually, I'm getting to that point. I'm getting to that. So you guys have all seen, I'm sure at this point you have all seen Holly. And if you haven't, join our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Nerdynomicon, because Holly's going to be posting all of our YouTube shows in there. She's already got a couple up there. You can see what Holly looks like. She's contributing to that all the time. So Holly is the subject of our first episode. For those who know Holly, I'm sure you know who she kind of resembles. So the episode opens with an asshole from a previous season who did some terrible things when people were married, and he's giving a toast to all these bad dudes, and he's toasting them and says, yeah, that's what you get for doing the thing that I commanded you to do. And they're all like, yay, cheer, whooping holler. And he's like, yeah, you're all a bunch of assholes. And then a bunch of people fall over and they're like, oh. And then the girl right next to the angry douchebag tries to drink her wine, and the douchebag's like, no, don't do it. And then it's revealed that angry douchebag is actually Holly in disguise, who says to him, this is going to be the only thing that's going to be a fake spoiler.
Wait. Holly from our show is on Game of Thrones. We got a Game of Thrones actress to be a part of Artful Gremlins.
We've got a girl who resembles a Game of Thrones actress on our show. Because Holly looks quite a bit like Maisie Williams.
Ah. Yes, yeah. I see it.
Yeah. I don't know why I just dished that out, because now calling that one Holly, it ruined the whole code. Damn it. I suck at this. I'm sorry, Adrian. I gave a vague spoiler there. But she delivers an amazing line and walks away. And then, boom, credits. Amazing cold open. Absolutely amazing cold open. Winter has come and the North remembers. That's all I'm saying. Oh my God, Game of Thrones is back in such a big bad way.
Oh, sounds like someone's excited.
Oh, somebody's all sorts of excited. Somebody's got wowzers in his trousers with all of the awesome that happened last night. Whew! This is going to be a great season. Short season, though. We're only getting, I think, 7 episodes. So short season, but amazing season.
Can I just say how entertaining it was listening to you try to not spoil the show while gushing all over it at the same time?
I appreciate that. I tried for you. I
thoroughly
really tried.
Enjoyed that. I don't know that anybody else did, but I enjoyed it.
You know what? That one was made for an audience of 1. That one was made for you. So that's our news this week, guys. Love it or hate it, that's what we had to bring for you on our feminist news for the week. Talked about some body shaming issues. We've talked about a female doctor. And Adrian, you've got some reviews for a female-led show and a female-led movie, which we've talked about once already, but we're going to get even deeper into tonight because you've finally seen it.
Are we talking about Fantastic Lady?
Oh, we're talking about Super Awesome Chick.
Are we talking about, dang it, I'm blanking.
We're talking about hashtag Wondrous Laid.
You got me tonight. Wow.
That's how I roll, man. What do you want to talk about first, the show or the movie?
I feel like we should close out with the movie.
All right, I agree. Let's talk about the show, man. You turned me onto something. And the last time you did this, it was with that documentary Tickled, which had me tickled pink for watching Tickled. Mm-hmm. This one was definitely interesting as well. A little Netflix show called Glow.
Yep,
Why don't you take us there?
It tickled you in a different way?
It did tickle me in a different way. It definitely did. Not Game of Thrones level, but it tickled me in a different way. I've been talking for pretty much the last half fucking hour. You can take Glow.
No, look, keep going.
I'm going to sit back here and I'm going to drink my water.
Okay, go ahead, drink your water. Because I'm gonna throw it to you for opinions. Glow is a show. It's an acronym. Stands for Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. It is it's kind of like a drama comedy. I'd say more focus on the comedy, but definitely some heavy dramatic instances in it.
The proper terminology is dramedy.
I hate that term, though. I fucking hate that.
Now, I understand that because I feel like it gets used a little bit too freely. But if there was ever a show that garnered the necessity for that term, I would say that this is it. Because they do kind of emphasize the humor, but I don't always feel that it's effective. Sometimes I feel like it does nothing but punctuate the drama, which is not bad as long as that's what you're going for.
Yeah. So, I don't want to... I guess I kind of don't want to give away too much. It's really short. I think it's 10 episodes. They're roughly 25 minutes apiece. They're really...
Yeah, they range from 25 to 29 minutes on average.
It's not a long show. It's pretty entertaining and enjoyable. It's not without some downfalls or some pitfalls to it. I don't want to focus on all negative or all positive. I feel like, and we'll get to this because there's actually a documentary that is linked to this show, where if you didn't already know, because I sure shit didn't know, that this Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling show that Netflix has made, it's actually based off of a real wrestling promotion. There actually was a Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling back in, I think, the mid to late 80s, which is somewhat similar to what happens in the Glow Netflix series. I think they took some liberties with the overall storyline between a couple of the main characters, but for the most part, it was like random ladies. They're just kind of thrown together. They're wannabe actresses and models and wannabe stars. Some of them were improv people, and they were brought together on this casting call. And the casting call is like, they don't really know what it is going into it. They were just looking for, I think, alternative or unique ladies, which is how it was billed. And all these ladies show up. And I believe the director or someone comes out and says, we're casting for a wrestling show, and it's all going to be all women. And like a third to 2/3 of the people just get up and leave immediately, which I guess is, they say on the documentary, that's something that happened. They're like, all right, everyone that's left, you made it past the first cut, And so,
which in itself was funny. That's the type of dark humor that actually made me laugh out loud, was the fact that the looks on their faces too, as they got up and left, they're like, really? And then they just walked out, and everybody else is just kind of sitting there like, it's cool, dude. It's casual.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And I personally found that very funny.
I thought it was hilarious. Hopefully we didn't give away too much of the joke on that one. But, I mean, there's plenty of other great stuff happening in here. Storyline-wise and comedy-wise, I'd say out of everyone that's in the show, I think Mark Maron fucking knocked it out of the park. He was perfect for the role, and he was amazing. I mean, I can't imagine anyone else as the kind of crotchety, semi-washed up director. He's not a hack, but he's like, he thinks he's amazing. He has a couple people that thinks he's amazing, and they've kind of puffed him up, but he's not really doing amazing things anymore.
Right. Now, when you were telling me about this show, when you're like, I want to do a female-based episode, I want to talk about this, and I want to talk about Wonder Woman, the way you should have sold me on watching this show, because I admittedly, I kind of put this to the back burner because, Castlevania came out, Spider-Man came out, there was so much awesome that I needed to get to. The way you should have phrased this is reminding me, hey, dude, Allison Brie, that chick you like from Community, she's in this show. And I would have binged it and called off work the next day because I love Allison Brie. Mm-hmm. I think that she's cute, quirky, funny, very good looking, has impeccable comedic timing. She plays Ruth. I'm going to go on record and say I really liked this show. I didn't love this show. My personal opinion is that they had way too many awesome characters in the sidelines. And Adrian, we talked about this off the mic recently as well.
Yep.
They had way too many awesome characters. Okay, now that sounds like it's not a problem on face value, but here's the thing. They didn't have enough time to explore these characters. They made so many of them compelling, so many of them that I could legitimately see a series based around, so many of them that I just felt were battling for screen time, and almost had them just cycled through, almost like as if on a conveyor belt or something. And that was disappointing to me in a lot of ways. It felt like it was, unlike a lot of Netflix, it felt like it ran the appropriate length, but was simultaneously too short because I wanted more of all these characters.
I was going to say the same thing. I had this weird feeling where it was like, I felt like it was too short. Like I wanted more, but at other points, I felt like they gave me too much of stuff that I wasn't that important or that I didn't really want to see. Like I wish they would have focused more on the actual wrestling aspect and them training and that kind of stuff. I feel like there's a lot of opportunities for both comedy and drama through that. I wish they would have fleshed out the other characters more because, as you said, there's a lot of other interesting characters, and some of them get a minute of screen time in 2 or 3 episodes, and you're just like, I mean, I can't remember who, but I remember at one point one of them had disappeared for a while and just popped up and was like, I remember that person. She was on like
Exactly.
3 episodes ago. Like, what has this person been up to?
And she just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
And that's the last they ever heard of Side Girl B.
So it was, as I said, I enjoyed it. I thought it was very interesting. I thought it was
definitely
entertaining. It's not without fault. I'm pretty sure they've already signed on to make another one, season.
Yes.
So
that has been confirmed.
So that's cool. One of the things that I will say I was surprised, and this isn't me trying to be, oh, look, I'm sensitive, or oh, look, feminism, or whatever. I was surprised at how much nudity there was in this. I guess it was the 80s, but I mean, I felt like some of it was excessive.
Gratuitous?
Yeah, just for no real reason other than to have it.
Now, see, I didn't mind that for the reason that it was the 80s. I almost felt like, to me, that was part of that dark humor, is the gratuitous nudity of it all.
Okay. I mean, I guess we just disagree a little bit. I guess I'm just
Which
thinking
is fine.
Specifically.
I think we disagree for the exact same reasons.
Yeah.
I think both of us saw it for exactly what it was. I just thought that it was a really funny joke, and you just saw it as pretty much what the 80s almost turned it into. Well, basically did turn it into, as far as like super saturation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think I like it and you disliked it for the exact same reasons. We're just falling down on different sides of the fence. I just found it funny.
Yeah, I found it, and I'm thinking specifically in like the first episode. For me, it felt like I think there was a little bit of nudity throughout the rest of the series, but I felt like the majority of the nudity was in that very first episode, and it felt like they're just almost. I don't know if they were going for shock value, or it felt like they were putting everything into that first episode, like they were trying to get, like that was the pilot, and they were trying to get everything else made. You know what I mean? Like,
that's how they do it. That's the whole idea of the pilot.
It kind of had that feeling to me, but at the same time, it's like, well, if you're not going to continue that, then at that point in the pilot, it seems gratuitous. You know, if it doesn't actually add to the story, and if it's not a theme that you're going to continue throughout, then you're just doing it to get the show. And at which point, did you even really need to do that to get the show? Because that's not what the show's about anyways. So.
Oh, no. I agree. I definitely see your point. So, all that being said, because we probably should cap this off right now, because there's a lot of plot that is essentially a giant running joke through this show that if we keep on talking about, we're going to start spoiling some of it. So, how do we want to rate this one?
Man, I'll give it 1.5 Stone Cold Stunners out of 2, I guess.
Nice. I will give it 1.5 People's Elbows.
1.5 People's Elbows. Yeah, I think that's fair. Oh, you know what? Hang on. Maybe we should back it up, because those are both guy wrestling moves. We should have, since this is the feminism, we should have more female-friendly. I don't know what the lady finishing moves were. I'm trying to remember the wrestlers. It's been a long time since I watched wrestling.
Me too. I think the last time I actually sat down and watched wrestling, Macho Man Randy Savage was still a thing.
Okay, we'll just leave it as it is.
So I'm like, I can give you what I know because it became a part of pop culture, but that's it.
Oh, I know. I got one. I remember.
Okay.
Lita,
all right.
Lita used to do the Hurricane Rana on people. So 1.5 out of 2 Hurricane Ranas, Lita style.
I don't know what any of those words mean, but I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to give it 1.5 out of 2 Hurricane Runs.
It's close enough. It's when they jump off the top rope, right? And then they basically like land on the person's shoulders, like almost like they were going to get power bombed, but instead the person is jumping into it and hooks their legs around the person's neck and just kind of swings around and flips them over. It's hard to describe without, if you don't know what it is.
Oh, verbally that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. It's like a Mexican luchador kind of style. It's like the high agility. It wasn't, a super power move. It's not like a fucking tombstone pile driver or anything.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, we agree on the quantity of whatever the hell that was. Movie time. Adrian, you finally saw Wonder Woman.
I saw Liberty Lass. I sure did.
Oh, dude. So talk to me about it. Because I talked a bit about Wonder Woman. This time we're going to be giving you guys some specific spoilers, okay? This movie has been out for a little while. If you haven't seen it by now, Apparently, you're not going to watch it when it's in the theaters. You're just not going to do it. Okay, so at this point, click off. Check the show notes. We'll tell you. I'll specifically put in the description when it's safe to come back onto the episode. Okay, I will tell you when it's safe to come back. We're not going to spoil Wonder Woman, but if you guys have seen it, this is where you want to be.
I mean, we are going to spoil Wonder Woman. That's why we're giving them notes, right?
Yes, exactly. We're spoiling it right now. We're giving them notes in case they don't want it spoiled. They can come back at the end of the show for our final thoughts, for our wrap-ups.
Final thoughts. That's a Jerry Springer thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
How dare you bring that into our feminist episode? At least go with Sally Jesse Raphael or something.
You should never go with Sally Jesse Raphael. I'll go Ricky Lake, but that's about all I can give you. All right, so Wonder Woman. What did you think, Adrian?
I'm just kidding.
Really?
I'm just kidding. It was good.
Oh, God. Dude, I was about to go apeshit on you.
I know.
Oh, my God, man. All right, so this movie, you see what I'm talking about. It started out guns blazing on the island of Themyscira. It was amazing watching Diana Prince training, all of the Amazonians, just watching them go to town on those fuckers attacking the island. Who were they again? They were Russians, weren't they?
Weren't they Nazis? German?
No, that's World War II. This took place during World War I. They might have still been Germans, but it definitely was not Nazis.
It
might have been Germans,
I thought
though.
it was Germans. So I just assumed it was World War II.
Right.
Because you always assume World War II with Germans.
Right. But you know what? I found this to be really, really cool, the fact that they went with World War I. I think I said this when we talked about Wonder Woman last time. I thought it was really cool that they went World War I as opposed to World War II. Because World War I is when we changed. That was the seminal catastrophe, and the world was never the same after that. Without that, you don't get the destructions of all of the great empires. The Ottoman Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Tsars, Nicholas over in Russia. You don't get that shit. You don't get Rasputin. And the fact that they said it at this time, this is the time for Wonder Woman to emerge and come into the world, to leave the island of Themyscira and go out into the world. I thought that it was a brilliant choice because everybody also does World War II. Nobody ever gives World War I the attention it deserves. But going back to that battle scene, that was so amazingly choreographed. That is kind of what I wished that we got with BVS,
Yeah. But, I mean, I feel like they were cramming too much into BVS. It was weird. It was like, I don't know. It was so long, but they just didn't explain stuff. And then they were trying to, shoehorn Wonder Woman's appearance into there. And that was the best part of the movie. So it's like, why have the rest of the movie? So that's what they did. They got rid of the rest of the movie and just had Wonder Woman. And it was amazing.
Basically. Yeah, I'm not talking about plot. I'm talking about amazing choreography like that. If you want to base a movie around a beef, if you want to base a movie around a battle, you need to bring it with choreography. You can't be bringing none of that Iron Fist shit. You got to bring it Wonder Woman style. And that was the kind of choreography that we got in that opening battle. I mean, and that battle was in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah. You're talking about the beach battle?
Yes,
okay.
I'm talking about the beach battle.
Sorry, because I thought the training I thought the battles when she was just training were actually really well choreographed too.
Oh, I completely agree. I 100% agree. I thought that the opening scenes of that movie, I don't have a single damn note. My only note for that entire movie was that it seemed a bit dark. I feel like whoever was on lighting needs to go back into apprenticeship because I feel like the lighting was a bit dark. Aside from that, I have no notes on this movie. I thought this movie was incredible.
I agree. I thought it was great. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
This movie, to me, breathed life into the DC universe. It gave us everything that Suicide Squad was lacking. It gave us everything that BVS was lacking. It gave us everything that Man of Steel was lacking, and more. This movie, I was so happy with it. I was overjoyed. Another downside about this movie that I keep going back to is it took this fucking long. I had to go back and double check because I thought in the back of my head, I thought that there was a Wonder Woman movie that must have taken place in the 70s or 80s. There had to have been. There wasn't. There was not a Wonder Woman movie. There was a TV series, but she's never had a film adaptation. That is the reason that I didn't use those words the last time we talked about Wonder Woman, is because in the back of my head, I knew that there had to be something. And if I said it, I'm going to be wrong and I'm going to have to correct myself. There wasn't. There was no other Wonder Woman movie. This is the first. And yes, it's a tragedy that it took this long. And ladies, I'm pissed off for you. But you know what? If it took this long to get what we just saw,
yeah,
you can't complain too much.
At least they did it right.
Yes. And
it's not like we were waiting forever for a Super Mario Brothers movie and got the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Luigi Mario. There's Mario and Luigi Mario. No, we didn't get that shit. We definitely need to talk about this scene because now that you've seen it, I can gush my ass off about it. I'm talking about No Man's Land.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That was pretty great.
That is the scene that the movie hangs its whip on, okay? Patty Jenkins, the director of this movie, flat out told the studio executives, this scene needs to happen. This scene will either make this movie or it will fade into obscurity just like the rest of the DC Universe movies. This scene needs to happen. She fought them tooth and nail. The studio execs did not want to put this into the film. Patty Jenkins is the one that made it happen. And we all need to give her all the thanks in the world because this scene was absolutely incredible. As Wonder Woman, Diana Prince is hearing that this village is pinned down, people are dying left and right, and people are just locked in this trench warfare battle of attrition. They call it No Man's Land because no man survives walking across that battlefield. It is literally a battle of attrition, which is exactly what World War I was. You dig your trench and you bunker in. Hundreds of people would die for a yard of ground. And that is what we had to deal with in World War I, man. An entire generation wiped off the planet because of warfare like this. And when Diana Prince sees what's going on, not only does she do something about it, she rushes out to do something about it. Climbs that stairwell and just runs right into the onslaught. Draws all the fire from the enemy. All of the fire, which gives the Allied forces, they weren't actually the Allied forces, I realize that's a World War II term, but the British and the Americans, it gives them all the ability to flank the enemy and outgun them and liberate this town. It was just so incredible. She's bouncing bullets with her gauntlets. She's standing there with her shield, just deflecting all of the gunfire, allowing this battle of attrition to cease, allowing the slaughter to stop. And she doesn't blink an eye. She doesn't think anything of it. All she can think of is, why are the rest of you so cowardly that you don't try? Why are you just bunkered down like this? Oh, there's nothing that can be done. No, there is something that can be done, and I'm going to go do it. Doesn't even flinch. She runs right into it, and that to me is Wonder Woman, man, because that was Wonder Russ.
But to be fair, she's like the only one that could have done that, right? I mean...
Well, yes, but at the same time, it was inspirational.
Oh, yeah.
It was inspirational for these troops. And the fact of the matter is, it was also an important scene, maybe not, as far as their actual mentality, but the lines that they were given to read. It's pointless, it's fruitless, we should just go, there's nothing that can be done here. And then she does something for it. Even if you have to look at that as a metaphor, it was so powerful. That's more my point. It was the visuals, it was the fucking theme music finally coming in, that Wonder Woman theme song, the theme song that saved Batman v Superman for a lot of people. It was everything about that scene. It was everything. That scene was the entire movie to me. It was everything I wanted out of this movie I got in that one scene. And then it gave me so much more.
It's the movie that keeps on giving.
It's true, man. It's absolutely true.
I will say one thing minorly negative about Wonder Woman. Very minor. Very minor.
Okay.
Can you buckle up and let me get through it before you gasp and yell at me?
Hold on a second. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and I'm only saying this because I saw it back to back with Spider-Man. And I will say, I feel...
Hold on. Taking a shot.
I feel that
Go ahead.
Wonder Woman did an amazing job of giving us a fantastic hero, a superhero. And I feel like Spider-Man Homecoming, the hero, he's young, not as super. You know, he'll get there eventually,
Right.
probably. But what I think Spider-Man excelled at, though, was I felt like they gave us a really good villain. And I feel like the villain in Wonder Woman was kind of just, it was an idea, or it was you know, she was chasing after what she thought was a villain, and turned out to be something else. You know, it didn't have that strong villain performance. It was kind of like a last second reveal.
I'll give you that.
And so, I mean, nothing against Wonder Woman. I still think it was a great film, and I think Spider-Man was a great film. And they have their strengths, and I think they have, you know, they're both very, very strong movies. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But I think both of them have a weakness here and there, too. And I would say, if I had to pick one, I would say Wonder Woman. You see how amazing she is eventually. You know, and I guess she's still kind of figuring out who she is and what she can do as well in this movie.
Right.
But there's not that strong villain component. There is.
I will give you that, because honestly, when we talked about this last time, keep in mind we didn't have the Vulture. We did not see Michael Keaton's performance when we talked about this last time. Or rather, when I talked about it and you sat there going, "Don't spoil it." I will give you that. The Vulture, and frankly his entire group, was far more compelling, by far more compelling than Ares was. As a matter of fact, he was probably the second version of Ares in a show or movie to me. I even kind of liked the Ares from Xena and Hercules a little bit better than Remus Lupin's portrayal of him.
Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought he wasn't even Ares. I thought that was a different god. I thought he said he was the god of truth or something. He was god of something. He wasn't the god of war. He was god of something else, from if I remember correctly.
I could have sworn that was Ares. I thought that was supposed to be Ares. He may have said that, but I thought that he said his name was Ares. And Ares is the god of war.
No, I thought he said he was the god of truth. Maybe he was just being, like, I don't know, allegorical or something. He was like, no, I'm not the god of war. I tell the truth. This is, you know, I don't know.
Oh, I know what scene you're talking about. Yes, he did say that, and that was supposed to be more allegorical than it was literal.
Okay.
Yes, he was Ares, the god of war, but what he was saying, his whole soliloquy there, was supposed to be much more metaphorical. It was supposed to be symbolic and everything like that, yes. And frankly, I thought that was an excellently delivered soliloquy. I thought that was great. However, it was no Michael Keaton. It was no Vulture. It was no darkness that was in that character. It was no performance like that. That is a performance that Michael Keaton will take with him to his grave. That one is his Heath Ledger playing the Joker. I think that people are going to be talking about that performance for a while to come. At least in the fandom circles. You know what I mean? I think that was a great villain. So I would say that is a criticism that I can get down with.
So, and as I said, it's a minor thing, because as I said, overall, the film was still fantastic. So instead of being an overcoming the evil kind of film, which most superhero movies are, this was more of a journey. It was like, okay, I need to get to this point so I can overcome the evil. It was, you know, it's like the first couple of Lord of the Rings, where they're just trying to get there.
Exactly. And Ares was, in fact, her Mount Doom in this situation.
I feel like, I'm disappointed that was Ares. I feel like it should have been some other god secretly. Like, that would have been so much better for me if, like, Ares is still out there. So. And
it turns out that one's like Hephaestus or Athena, and Athena is trans or something like that. That would have been interesting.
Or is it Hermes? Is Hermes the god of, like the messenger god or something?
Yeah. Hermes is the messenger god. Who else could it have been? It could have been Apollo. Mm-hmm. You know, something like that would have been really cool.
Except he died in one of the earlier Rocky films. Was it Rocky 4? Was he dead in 4?
Yes, okay. It was 4.
So, I mean, you can't really bring him back.
Drago knocked him the fuck out.
He had to break him.
We're kind of up against the clock. What do you rate this movie as? You finally got a chance to see it.
I am going to go... Oh, one last thing before we finish it up. Before we go to the ratings, I want to say there was one part where I couldn't help but start giggling in the theater. And Tavia looks at me like, what the fuck are you laughing at? It was towards the end where they are breaking into the compound, and she uses her lasso to pull a guy off of one of the watchtowers. Do you remember? Kind of vaguely?
I do.
I couldn't help but think to myself as the guy's falling, it's like, I'm incredibly frightened right now. Like, it's the lasso of truth. It just made you, like, uncontrollably just tell the truth.
Exactly. No, it's funny you said that. That actually was in my mind as well. I was expecting something like that.
I feel bad.
Whoa! I still sleep with a teddy bear!
Right. Because, I mean, she uses it for things other than to make people tell the truth. But from what I understand, it's the lasso of truth. Like,
yes.
It's the truth part is the emphasis more than the lasso. So I feel like unless you're forcing someone to tell the truth, you're probably not supposed to be using it.
Right. You read my mind on that, dude. That was a good pull. I actually forgot about that scene until you said that.
Oh, man. We would have such a blast going to the movies together, and nobody around us would love it at all.
Brooke would be so pissed. She gets embarrassed with my laugh all the time. Like, because I will bust out laughing for 5 straight minutes at the trailer for a comedy that looks like it's going to be mediocre at best. And she'll look at me, really, it wasn't that funny, and I'll just look at her, tears streaming down my face from laughter. It was to me. I just have a better sense of humor than everybody else. And people are just kind of craning their necks and looking at me. Then I've actually incited a laugh riot at the movie theater before because people just looked over and they just started laughing at my reaction to a movie trailer that was like 2 trailers ago.
If you want to hear something awful. So there was one time, I might have told this story already, but when I was working in a movie theater super young, we had Spaceballs was mistakenly delivered to us. And so it was somebody's birthday around that time, and they're just like, well, why don't we build up Spaceballs and watch that as the party? And I don't know if you've done films, so you know, like, it comes in these canisters, and you have to, like, you have to take the 6, like, mini reels and build it up onto, like, a full platter. Like, it's not like, oh, we got this DVD, let's pop it in. Like, it was kind of an ordeal, but they did it. And so here's how it relates to your story of laughing uncontrollably at ridiculous things. While we were there, we're watching it, and there's one part where a girl she busts out laughing and she can't stop. It's uncontrollable laughter. And it's at the part where the radar gets jammed. And she
raspberry.
Yeah. It was before he even said raspberry. She's just laughing at the concept of a giant jar of jam hitting a radar dish. And she's laughing and laughing and laughing. And no one else is laughing. And she's laughing so hard. And she snorts. And her boyfriend is like, oh my God. It was a hilarious night. So I
That's awesome.
I understand your pain. It didn't have, it's not anything I've ever done. I haven't had a significant other do it, but I've been there when it's happened to other people. So as long as you're having a good time, you do you, man.
And that's what it is too. Yeah, I mean, we don't go to the movie theater to get pissed off. We go there to chase whimsy. Whether it be a chick flick or whether it be a horror movie or whether it be an artsy French film or whether it be Wonder Woman or Spaceballs. We're all there chasing whimsy. We're all there to be entertained. And if some random motherfucker just wants to laugh for 5 minutes at a trailer that was arguably very funny to him, let it happen, man. He's not interrupting your time yet.
Arguably very funny to him. I love how you're putting, like, qualifiers on your fucking laughter. Okay. So, ratings. How many jets are in, like, a squadron? Like 5?
I think 5, yes.
I'll go... Oh, man. I don't want to go 4.5, but I don't want to go 5. I would go 4 and, like, 3/4 invisible fighter jets for Wonder Woman.
Ooh.
Out of 5.
Nice. That is a good rating. That is a good rating. All right, I'll stick with that one as well. I don't remember exactly what I had it as before. I think I had it as like 2 lassos way in the air, 4 3/4 invisible planes. That definitely works for me as well.
Yeah, as I said, and that missing quarter, it's very, very minor. Like, I'd love to have seen like a more just structured, strong villain performance. The movie was a great length. I mean, it was long but enjoyable. It wasn't like sitting there like, oh my god, when is this going to be over? And it
wasn't checking your watch during BVS, which admittedly I did not do. My wife was in labor during that movie, and she maintains to this day that it was far more enjoyable than being in labor. So
she was watching her watch to count her contractions.
Yes, actually. And I'm not joking about this, we stayed for the entire film, but my wife went into labor during Batman v Superman.
That kid had to get out of there. It's like, get me out of here. This movie is awful.
To this day, he has 5 sets of Batman pajamas and 3 Batman t-shirts.
And no Superman stuff.
He's got 1 with Superman and Batman on it.
I guess we know who won Batman versus Superman.
Oh, fucking Batman every day of the week.
And 3 times on Thursday.
Damn right. All right, guys, if you've liked what we've been doing, if you're enjoying talking, or if you're enjoying listening to us talk.
Are you enjoying talking?
If you're enjoying talking during the movie theaters. If you're enjoying listening to us talk, you want to talk to us, you can join us on our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Nerdynomicon. You can email us, nerdynomicon@gmail.com, or tweet at us @Nerdynomicon. It's Nerdynomicon for all 3. It's the title of the show. It's just right there for all 3. If you really like what we're doing and you want to help us out financially, we absolutely appreciate that, man. Every little bit helps, even $1 a month. $1 a month helps us out more than you can even imagine. And you can help us out by going to patreon.com/artfulgremlins. There's plenty of perks over there. We're updating them all the time. You've got early access to all of our shows. We've got a couple Patreon exclusive shows, stuff that you can't find on our regular channel over there, man. So go ahead and check that out. If you don't have any money or you don't like us enough just yet, we will win you over. But if that's a possibility and you're just like, I like these guys, I want to help them, but I'm not giving them any cash, there's plenty of other ways you can help. Tell a friend about us. Tell your family members about us. I'm sure you've got your geeky cousin that loves him some Wonder Woman and some Spider-Man as well. Tell him about us, man. You might have just given him his new favorite podcast. You can also rate and review us on iTunes. That helps us out more than you will ever realize. Every single time you do that, we raise higher up on the charts where more people can see us. And as I've said a million times, you can't be a Nerdynomicon hipster if we don't blow up. And that is where you guys come in. And I'm pretty sure that takes us completely out of it. What do you think, Adrian, Steve?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
No.
I can't milk this any longer. I think we should give a shout out to the guy who was giving us our conversion chart for metric fuckton to imperial fuckton.
Ah, that's right. That's absolutely right. We do have a winner for our first contest. Our very first contest. Jar of Geek tweeted at us. A metric fuckton is the mass of 42 long boxes of comics. An imperial fuckton is 1.701 of a metric fuckton. We got a couple of emails and we got a couple of private messages, but I've got to be honest with you, none of them actually had numbers in there. One of them involved cats, and I'm not talking as a euphemism. One of them literally involved cats. That is the only one with any math on it, man. So, Jar of Geek, you are the winner.
Yay!
So we will be private messaging you on Twitter to get your email information so we can send you your free video game code, courtesy of Adrian Steve himself.
Yes, that's right. Courtesy of my poor purchasing decisions. My loss is your gain. Your game.
So
my loss is your game. Look at that.
Oh, do you like that?
Comes around.
Just switch a couple letters right there. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So definitely tune in next week because we're going to be starting up our next contest. This one ran for a couple of weeks. We got several great submissions. Next week, we're going to ask a little bit more of you guys.
Yeah, and
you ask a little bit more.
I might
But we're
fight
going to
you,
give
Robbie.
away a couple more.
I might fight you, Robbie, for a runner-up or two because I love me some cats. We've been going back and forth on this, so we'll see. But for now, the king awesome winner is Jar of Geek.
Absolutely, man. Congratulations. Thank you to everybody that threw in submissions. We might read some of those ones on the air, or you know what? You can also use those as, I'll tell you about the contest next week. We're getting out of here, man. Until next time, I've been Robbie.
And I've been Adrian.
Let's close the book of the Nerdynomicon for this week.